lecturer is talking. So a conversation is preferable. Someone asks a question, I engage with the person, they take something home from that information. So questions, please, don't be shy.
Someone asks, please, what can cause headache while having menstrual period or after completing menstruation?
So if someone is having their menstruation and they are getting headaches, sometimes we have something called menstrual migraine. To go a bit further, I think I would like to ask the person is, how old is the person? That's the first question to start with. If the person minds telling me, I mean, obviously if they're asking for a friend, how old is the friend? What is the age of the person? Usually I find that people that have headaches may probably be more of the younger age group. And we tend to want to look at causes like menstrual migraines that can cause it. How it happens is that because the blood vessel is, you are shedding the womb lining of the uterus, the womb of a woman, the drop in blood there sometimes can cause spasms in the little blood vessels in the brain, and that can transmit as a headache to them. So more than likely, it is usually what we call a menstrual migraine, and it is known to last after the period up to 2 weeks sometimes, where you have this bad headache. And the next question I want to ask the person is, apart from headache, are there any other symptoms they experience? Do you get things like problems looking at bright lights? Do you have to go into a dark room and lie down for the headache to go away? Those are all signs that can point to what we call a migraine.
She has replied, she said the age is 39 years old.
Okay, so she's in the mid-range group of people, a bit older than the group. But what I want to know is, with this particular headache, if it's lasting long, it's more, like I said, it's more than likely a menstrual migraine. Secondly, is she staying hydrated? And how heavy is the period?
Thank you very much. Let me add this. When Aja Sherifat was discussing earlier on, she said something about the clinical episode, and we will really appreciate if you can help us to touch on clinical episode of menopause and andropause.
Okay, so when they say clinical episode, I'd like her to clarify what she means by clinical episode. Is it what is happening, the symptoms? Are we talking about symptoms? Are we referring to symptoms of menopause?
Maybe to my own interpretation, I would suggest maybe it has to do with the changing phases, because she explained that there's no medical treatment. So if there's no medical treatment, I don't know about the clinical episode. Okay. But
medical maybe for menopause or for andropause?
For both of them.
Okay. Well, yes and no. I mean, what we say is we are able to manage symptoms. Like I said, menopause is not a disease. It's what do you call it? It's a natural phase that women go through. So referring to the clinical episode, I'll probably go more into the medical side of things. She has talked a lot about the management of the lifestyle aspect of all the issues, where she's talked about the pretty much what we said, integrating with family, picking up exercises. For the clinical part of things, for menopause, we actually can give something that can help women. And depending on their age group and their risk factors, what we want to talk about is hormone replacement therapy. So that does exist for women. To touch for men with the so-called andropause, after we have clarified and managed the baseline things like poor nutrition, poor activity, to help top that up, we can now give them things like testosterone replacements, which comes in forms, we give it in forms of gels or small tiny injections under the skin. And to help manage other, obviously we all know about managing, even with that suffer from erectile dysfunction, we give them things like Viagra to help manage the problems down below. So did Haja, I missed that part, but did she talk about hormone replacement therapy?
She mentioned that, but she did not go into detail. She said you will expatiate on that side. So we would love to hear more from you.
Okay. A lot of us don't like going into detail on it, because what I like doing is I like to give people a leaflet to read on it. But fine, let me see if I touched on it here. So she probably talked about this already, hot flushes and everything. So hormone replacement therapy is a combination of things where the body, in the woman, you've got the combination of estrogen and progesterone. Those are the two hormones that regulate the basic cycle in a woman. You start your period, the estrogen level is high, and it peaks around day 14 if you're in a 28-day cycle. Progesterone starts and comes throughout that period and also peaks a bit after that, and they both flow together. During the menopause, these two hormone levels start to drop. Predominantly the estrogen, they start to drop down. And because of that drop, the ovaries, the signal goes to the ovaries and tells the ovaries it's time to stop producing eggs. So they stop producing the eggs and everything now shuts off. So what we tend to do is give a combination of treatment. There are types of treatment called we call it cyclical progestogens or cyclical continuous hormone replacement therapy. The reason we tend not to want to talk about it too much is that there are a lot of them. And I found out that if you spill it out, people get confused a bit more as what to do and what not to do. So I'll try and simplify it. We run through the risk factors. Now, risk factors that we look at for people before we start them on hormone replacement therapy is we talk about blood clots. Have they had a family history of blood clots before? Blood clots are like DVT and pulmonary embolism. Have they had a history of heart attack or what we call cardiovascular disease, atrial fibrillation in the family or themselves? Then the one that is very important and people kind of focus on more is any family history of breast cancer or any history of breast cancer in the person. If all these symptoms are not present and the person doesn't have any of these risk factors, the next question is, how old is the person? Is the person below the age of 50? Then if they are below the age of 50, have they had a hysterectomy? Hysterectomy is the surgical term for surgery to remove the womb. That's just to break it down. So some women after delivering elect to go and have the surgery to take the womb out, because obviously it reduces the chances of them getting ovarian or uterine cancer. So some people do that. So depending on which group of people they fall into, it now determines which direction of treatment we go down. Now, what I've done here is I've put a link here for people to go and fact sheets where people can go and read all the information they want, because the menopause is a very broad area and trying to give people little information here and there can cause a lot of confusion. I'll start by, let me see if I can copy this and paste it first. Okay, no, I can, I'll post it back there. Okay, so where was I? So woman under the age of 50 still has their womb present, then we want to give them a treatment that has both progesterone and estrogen. And that can come as a tablet or a patch. Those are the commonest treatments that we give. Now, if they have over the age of 50 or they do not had their womb taken out, then we can give them a single version of the medication, which will be we can give them the estrogen only if they've had surgery on their womb. Over the age of 50, the treatment now is pretty much the same, but we tend to want to reduce the duration that we give the women the medication for, pretty much just about 5 years. And after that, we want them to come off it. It's because research has said that people over the age of 55 who are continuing the HRT may have a slightly increased risk to breast cancer. Now, what the term there is risk. So risk does not necessarily mean that it will happen. It's what I always try and remind people, but people tend to be, because we are human beings, our minds are negatively biased. We tend to see that the thing about breast cancer is that 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. That is the statistic, and that is quite a high number. That is quite a high number. So irrespective of whether they use HRT or not, 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. That's the statistic that exists. So sometimes we want to treat specific symptoms for women. I'm sure Hajia talked about the symptoms. Some women present with vaginal dryness, dryness down below, which is also affecting their sexual activity. And if that is their predominant symptom and they feel they can manage the other symptoms, all we have to do is give them things like estrogen gel. So they take the estrogen gel, they can rub it around their thigh area, and that improves the dryness down below and can help them improve their sexual life. Let's go back to that one there. Okay. So that's one of the specific treatments that we give. Now, other options for treatment, like I mentioned, is the patch. One of the newer treatments is the combined HRT patch. And that particular one, it comes in many names, a less duo, a less benefit, or I can't remember all the names, but there are quite a lot there. So we tend to advise, if you want one, we always tell people, you need to sit down with your GP or your practitioner, or if you want to have it, if they want to have a chat, they can DM me privately and we can talk about it. And we go through the step-by-step process of which one fits them better. Like she said, usually we try and individualize treatment to each person to see what suits them best. So that's technically will be like the clinical episode. As to the changes that occur in the body, pretty much the same thing like we've mentioned before. Women develop hot flushes. For anybody out there, if you do not understand what hot flushes are, it's a situation where all of a sudden she'll be doing something and she would now feel very hot inside. And she feels as if she wants to faint sometimes in some women. That's how they've described it. And they have to sit down, and it's like a wave that needs to pass over them. And they have to come through that thing. They might experience night sweat. So in general, when it's not even hot, they wake up and they are sweating profusely. This is caused by the imbalance of the hormones. Poor sleep patterns. Again, the imbalance of the hormones can cause a lot of low mood and anxiety. Usually, if the woman is, like I said, below the age of 50 and she's experiencing these symptoms, once we are happy that she does not have any of the risk factors we've mentioned, we are happy to prescribe her the hormone replacement therapy. Obviously, we tell them to have done the so-called lifestyle changes first. Some women have nearly even slapped me when I've mentioned it, because you are telling a woman to go and do lifestyle change when she's suffering with sweats and she's not sleeping properly. It's really difficult for them, but we try and push them to do some of these things. And we'll get to it as well. There are some non-hormonal alternatives, although not prescribed on the NHS. We as doctors do not prescribe it, but I've read about some of them, and I think they are recommended alternative options. I'll come back to this slide, sorry. So we talked about the patch. This was what I was talking about, the patch and the blood clot. So the alternatives are these 4 that are very common. The commonest one so far that seems to have the best outcome is the one that they call the black cohosh, that people say that has worked for them. The 4th one, St. John's wort, you can get all these 4 in any of the general shops out there. If you're in the UK, if you go to Holland and Barrett, it's available over the counter. I will be very careful with St. John's wort because it's interacts with a lot of medications, from antibiotics to blood pressure tablets to diabetic tablets. So it has a broad spectrum of interaction. So I'll be very wary to that one. But if anybody wants to try the non-medical alternatives, red clover, black cohosh are the options that they can try. All right, so I hope that's addressed the clinical episode, unless if they have any questions relating to that one. Sorry, you're on mute. You are muted, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I'm so sorry. Previously, I saw a question pop up. I hope the lady is still there. Please, sorry about that. Regarding the menstrual period, she said 3 to 4 days, that the headache used to last between 3 to 4 days.
Yes. So it's more likely, so it's more likely a menstrual migraine, because it seems to last 3 to 4 days, both sides of the period. So we would say it's what we call a menstrual migraine. With that particular one, what I would like to address is, we'd like to know what's her blood pressure. Again, very key point, her eating pattern. What's her weight like? Is she managing her weight properly? Is she sleeping properly? Those are 4 key things that we need to tie in and see them. And usually once we're able to clarify all those things with her, it's more an issue of managing the symptom if it's still persisting after she has addressed all these things.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, Jenny. Okay, go on, Dr. Kayode.
Hello. Good afternoon, Dr. Tosin. I thank you for this presentation. When you said when somebody eats heavy food at night and somebody wanted to sleep, I felt like you were trying to talk to me, because I've faced this several times. Each time I just come from work, I eat and I just want to sleep. But the question I want to ask is there a way to have a kind of supplement that one can add to the food? Because my wife tried to place me on a kind of diet, and I felt like she was just trying to punish me, because if you take me off semovita, pando yam, and rice, it's like you want to kill me before my time. So I felt like I needed to have, she mentioned some food that I tried 3 days, like vegetables, and realized that no, there's no way I could cope with this. So I went back to my usual food. But one thing I did that you mentioned is exercise. I tried to, walk to the train station. I just parked my car. I started to walking. It has been so effective. That is really working for me. But the food aspect, one is not getting younger any longer. Is there a way you can recommend any kind of a supplement that one can add to our food? Nigerians, I'm Yoruba man, so this is just my problem. So please, I will help us. I would really appreciate your honest opinion regarding this. Thank you so much.
Ogakade, please be careful what you wish for. You said you appreciate my honest opinion.
I've confessed, to be honest. I've confessed that I told you the problem.
To be very honest with you, I see where you're coming from. I have this discussion with a lot of my clients, and anybody above, if they are working either in Nigeria, anywhere in the world, once you're above the age of 35, you are pretty much living a stressful life. Yeah. Because they just hits you and it's rolling on and on and on and on and on and on and on. There's always something to do. There's always a specific challenge in your life that you are trying to address. Everybody has it, whether it is me, whether it is you, whether it's Dangote, we all have it. The question now is, I always ask people is, yes, we agree that we have to enjoy our foods, but what is the end game here? What's the end game in life? Is it to live a long and happy, fulfilling, energetic life where if your grandchild is running and playing hide and seek, you can actually try and keep up to an extent at the age of 60, 70? Would that be ideal for you? That's the question I always ask people. Or are we just happy living a life of pills? Number one, you've asked that we talk about supplements. There are supplements out there like multivitamins, the things like, if people recommend like Centrum and what's the other thing called again? Just picture that one. There was one that came to my mind now. 2 seconds. Neurobalance and all those things. And there are some things they say they take, moringa or something. I can't remember the name, but that can help lose weight. I personally, I won't lie to you, I do not believe in them. One thing I can say is that if you look at what you are consuming, the food you are consuming, there are some things you said you can't do without. Maybe the first step for you may be to think about cutting down the portions you are having.
All right.
So is it possible that, one, to start with, if you're having the semovita, one, limit the number of times a week you're having semo or the pounded yam, maybe reduce it, but reduce the portion of that. And instead of that, always vegetables are very important, sir. I can't lie to you. You have to have the vegetables, but maybe increase the fish content there.
All right.
So maybe fill yourself up more with a bit more protein than the what do you call it? The semo, the pounded yam, the jollof rice, or the rice itself. I am trying. My personal belief is that because of our nature, we are very heavy on carbohydrate diet, and people tell me that my ancestors have been eating this for a long time, and that this is as a tradition now. We've always been eating that food. Yes, and I tell them I absolutely agree with you, but I'm very sure that my ancestor did not drive a BMW. He did not sit down on the train. So when he had to walk, he had to wake up, carry his hoe or his axe or his cutlass and gun, and walk into the forest. Walking is burning energy. Hunt the animal, he's burning energy. Climb the tree, he's burning energy. Walk back with the animal that he has killed or in the farming, he's burning energy. So his energy requirements of our ancestors were far higher than our energy requirements at the moment. So they were able to burn up the so-called heavy food that they were eating. But the unfortunate case is that right now, most of us, as we are here having this discussion, we are sitting down. You are sitting down, you are not burning energy, your body is conserving energy. You sit in the car, you are sitting down. You sit in the couch, you are sitting down. You are on the train, you are sitting down. You are at work, you are sitting down. So your body is not burning any energy. And all those are foods that you talked about are quite heavy, unfortunately. So what I always tell people is try and cut that down. And I'm very glad, like you said, you are parking far away and you are walking. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I always give my clients one little hack. Okay, because if I mention exercise now, like, oh, try and do exercise, people always, like I said, people think of gym. They think of going to the gym as the first thing. What I ask people is, okay, immediately you wake up in the morning and you have done your morning routine and your morning prayer, where there and then do 5 push-ups as if you can do push-ups, or just get up and do what we call jumping jacks. If anybody went to NYSC camp here, you would understand the jump, what I mean by that one that they call star jumps, where you open your hands and closing and moving your legs. Just do it there. Then try and do it for 1 minute. Anybody that tells me they don't have time, I say, but you have 1 minute, don't you? They say yes. I say, good. So that starts with that little thing. The trick is this: nobody would want to do something for 1 minute. When you've done it for 1 minute, your mind always say, you've done it now, increase it a bit more. So it is starting small. I believe your wife had good intentions, and I commend her very much. I think what happened was that she made a massive change all at once. And from the sociologists in the group will always tell you that human beings are programmed to resist massive change. So if someone comes and wants to do a big change, Boris Johnson wanted to do some big thing, we all resist. It is the human nature. But if we change little by little, a little becomes a lot. So that is the way to adapt it to little changes. Start little. It is not the journey. It is not a race. It's a long journey. So start little. If you can do push-ups, what I always recommend for people is there and there as you've come out of bed, if depending on where you are, you do the push-up right next to your bed. Everybody has that small space. No matter how tiny the room is, you have space to do push-ups. Start with 5. Then ask yourself, can I improve on it? Then you start with that. Another little exercise that I tell people, and it sounds silly, I know, it sounds silly. The average person will use the toilet in a 12-hour period. From the time you go to work, you should probably go and have a wee 3 times. Ideally, you should go 3 times if you are drinking good amount of fluid. And that's another thing. I hope you are keeping your fluid levels up.
Yeah.
Every time you use the toilet is a time to do squats. All you need is 30 seconds extra. 30 seconds. Just do squats. And if anybody has said they don't know what squats is, please just in Google is your friend. Type squats, SQUATS. Type it in there and see what comes up and just do that. Essentially, it's like you getting up from a sitting position without using your hands. That's a squat, and going back down. Take 30 seconds and do it. You are in a cubicle or you're in your bathroom or in your toilet. Nobody is seeing you. Yeah. But you are improving, you are working the biggest muscles in the body, and you are improving blood flow. So that's why I always tell people, we are improving on movement. We are not doing exercise. So you have just increased the movement. This is me hacking time for people. You understand? So those are the little things to start with. Obviously, that is the bare minimum. I always work with people to try and increase it to levels. In the UK, the National Health Organization, the recommendation is that you should get 150 minutes of exercise in a week. So however you space it is really up to you and the person. That is the recommendation. But I tell people, look, that is the aim. This is where we are. Let's start small. Start little by little. If it is 1 push-up you can do it. Be glad with yourself. You mark the milestone. You tell yourself, next day I will do more. When it comes back to going back to the meal plan now, generally, like I said, work with reduce the portion. Just look at what they normally give you for the pounded yam or for semo. Start by taking a quarter away. Can you cope with that? That's the first thing. Okay, good. The next time, take half away. Is that possible? Then that's fine. Then I'm sure, I don't know if your wife introduced you to the swaps, the alternatives. Have you tried using oatmeal?
Yeah, she did a lot. I'm just addicted. Everything you said, I do it. I have a gym in my house. I walk about an hour a day to work, and I come back. To the train station. No, cumulatively is about an hour every day. But it's just I'm addicted to the food. That is just, but now that you said it has to be gradual, I think I will go by that. Maybe by the time I do that for a month, I think I'll be fine. I think that's a problem.
Do you take a lot of amala?
It's just the semovita. That is just my problem. And this further worsened during lockdown. During lockdown, we're at home working from home. So I started having my stomach belly coming out. So I had to do some exercise to burn it off. But it's been okay. Like you said, everything you said is okay, is very, very accurate. I practiced them, and that's worked for me. But I was thinking that I could find something to help me with the diet because of the food. Because now if I eat beans, I can't be eating beans every day. And as you know,
I will not. I personally, the last time I ate beans was probably 4 weeks ago. Oh. I'm not a beans fan personally, and I wouldn't even recommend necessarily say beans is a go-to food for people because I don't eat it. You can eat it once in a while. The problem is that when you eat beans, you don't eat beans alone.
Yeah.
Most people eat beans with dodo, gari, bread.
Yes.
And beans, unfortunately, people may not realize, is actually also a carbohydrate-laden diet. It does contain proteins, but beans has carbohydrates as well. It's one of the richest forms of carbohydrate vegetables, apart from potatoes and yam. So, but I know it's hard, but there are basic swaps, and it took me a while to break away from pounded yam. But like I said, what I looked at is that at this stage, I am 41, and I realized that I've seen friends that are 50, and when we went out for a run, they left me in the dust. Like, and because the person now, one of my mentors, and we had a chat and we're doing things, and he actually introduced me to the concept of what people have to also realize is that these are, like I said, this is a different lecture entirely, is your biological age, your chronological age, sorry, is not necessarily your biological age. So someone can be 50 chronologically from the day he was born, but biologically he's 35. He has maintained his body in a state and a very good state where it has kept up. And I think the mistake I make sometimes is that I focus a lot on food and things, but question I forget to always ask people is, how is your sleep? That plays a very important role. Are you sleeping adequately at the good time, at the right time? Is it good sleep? Are you the basic general, how are you managing the general stress? Because obviously with COVID-19, there was a lot of stress going around. The level of anxiety was extreme.
Yeah.
How did that affect you? Those are all factors that also play into weight gain as well. The same more, like you said, at least you know of that one is a physical thing in front of you, but things like sleep and anxiety, they are a bit subconscious to people, and people don't kind of hold that. Even as I talk, sometimes I still struggle to put in the hours for the sleep because there's always something to do. But those are key areas, very key areas to tackle.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sleep, for me, the sleep is, I can't sleep 5 hours at a stretch, maybe 4 hours, 4 hours, 30 minutes at a stretch. So what I do is I usually like to delay my sleep to 12 a.m. so that I can wake up by probably 4:35 because I have to prepare and go to work. So that is another aspect, but I'm working on that. If I'm on weekends, I'm more relaxed, but during weekdays, here in the UK, there is no way you can, you have to, especially when you work far from home. So that's one of the challenges actually. So sometimes if I come back from work, like let's say 7, I eat, probably by 8, 9, I'm in bed. I have to wake up by 2 a.m. There's nothing I can do. I must wake up by 2 a.m. And once I wake up by 2 a.m., maybe I just try to maybe pray for a while. And if I try to go back to sleep, my mind would be like, oh, you don't have, be careful that you don't late for work. So that's like you said, the stress life, the work-life balance and stuff like that.
Big issue, isn't it?
Another factor.
I definitely understand. Definitely understand. But I think from what you said, at least you know the issues at hand. The question now is, one has to really, it's like a roadmap. You know where you want to go. You have to draw the road of how you want to get there. It might not necessarily be smooth, might not necessarily be easy, but at least you have a map of where you want to go to. That's how I describe it to people. My outcome is, when I tell people to build muscle, they see, oh yeah, lifting weights. I tell them I'm not telling people to do that because that you have what we call show muscle, big chest. That's not the thing. It's longevity. We found out that women and men, the more muscle mass you had at middle age, that's 40 and above, the better your level of longevity. Because when people get hit by illnesses and diseases, the body has to break down protein. So the more stores of muscle that you have for it to break down, the lesser chance that it will run out of stuff. That's just the basic logic. it's a bit trickier than that, but that's just the basic logic behind it.
Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you so
No
much.
worries.
There's a question here, Dr. Tosin. Is
Yes,
there a
please.
possible correlation or linkage between colon cancer and andropause for men?
Okay, that's a good one. Between colon cancer and andropause for men, I would personally say I've not found a clear correlation, but the thing about colon cancer is that one, the symptoms tend to be in the gut area. It can be more related to the types of food you eat. So if I was to correlate it, I would say is that people that eat more processed food would generally have a higher chance of getting colon cancer. It's not that it's definite, it's just a higher chance. And if you eat more processed food, you also have a higher chance of getting the symptoms of diabetes, increased belly fat, low testosterone, which can cause the so-called quote unquote andropause. But remember, like I said, I do not agree with the term andropause personally. I prefer the more metabolic syndrome, low testosterone.
Thank you very much. There's another question around how can we enhance our dignity, during body changes. For example, for women, I don't know about men, maybe something like, loose bowel, like discussion around continence management, something like that.
Okay. I think I'll do more. I think we'll talk more of continence. If we talk more of continence, urinary continence, let's start with that. With continence, there are two types of continence. There is what we call urge incontinence, and there is stress incontinence. Urge incontinence tends to happen in places where women find that they need to use the bathroom quickly. The urge hits them straight away. You cannot postpone that urge. You need to find the nearest toilet to void, or you will have an accident on yourself. That occurs from, both of them really occur from when you have lower what we call the pelvic muscles that are kind of form like a mini basket around the woman's genital areas start getting weak, and it's linked to pregnancy, lots of births. It also happens in menopause because once you lose the estrogen, the cells there tend to become a bit slack, the muscle tends to become a bit slack. Now, one of the things we do is I always advise the person, you probably need to see your GP because you need someone to sit down with you and run through the symptoms step by step. And what they will want to do for you is we start with what we call bladder training exercises or pelvic floor exercises. So if you have urge incontinence, that is more to do with the bladder area, the doctor will want to send you for bladder training exercises. There's a referral on the NHS that we do. It's a bit of a process where they take you through how to hold the bladder. I do not know the process exactly 100% for that one because there's a specialist that does that. But they can help you train how to control your bladder. That's the first step. For the stress incontinence, because that has to do more with the muscles, especially following childbirth. A lot of women, well, not a lot, the number of women have what we call an episiotomy, where we have to make an incision to get the baby out quickly from down below. And after the repair, sometimes the muscles are not as strong as they used to be. Those ones, we refer them for what we call Kegel exercises. And if you just type on the internet, just go to pelvic floor exercises. There's a brilliant YouTube video on there where you do the exercises. I think you do 8 sessions for 8 seconds each. And they show you how to tighten the muscle. Because like any muscle in the body, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. So those are the first steps that they do. Now, if women have gone through this and it's not worked for them, there is the option to prescribe some form of medication that may help them. And there's also the option to refer them for surgical intervention. We don't need to tell people, you don't need to know the medications because they don't make any difference. Basically, there's medication and there is surgery. Prior to that, basic management things are there are some options. I think women, using the options of like pads to start with, may be the first steps for them. But key actionable things are the pelvic floor exercises and seeing your doctor if you have urge incontinence for bladder training exercises. And remember, urge incontinence is the urge hits you that you need to pass the wee straight away. You cannot hold it for long. You need to find the toilet straight away. Stress incontinence has to do with you laugh or you cough or you sneeze and a little wee leaks out. That is the stress incontinence because the pressure in the abdomen relaxes the muscle can't hold it. Excuse me. And that causes that particular symptom. With now talking about loose bowel. Loose bowel can be a bit tricky. Anybody that is suffering from loose bowel or bowel incontinence, I personally tell them that they need to see a doctor because we need to examine them to make sure that there is nothing else going wrong with them. Because ideally, one should not have poor control of the bowels because it's not usually physiologically affected all the time. There are times when women sit down and you pass water and automatically some bowel motion happens with it as well. That has been known to happen. But if it's something that is happening constantly, my advice would be to seek medical attention. Book an appointment with your GP or book an appointment with your family doctor. Let them have an examination around the area to check if the sphincter is normal or is closed or if there's something else linked to it.
Thank you very much for that. There's another question around the duration. Does it mean that when you enter into the menopause stage or the andropause stage, is it a continuous something or does it stop?
Okay, I think I'll address more menopause. The menopause, like Hajia Sharifat pointed out, technically it's a diagnosis we make in retrospect. So for any woman over the age of 50, if you've not had your period for 1 year, we can now look back and say, oh yes, you have gone through the menopause. You are becoming post-menopausal. Below the age of 50, we've made it now 2 years. We actually tell women below the age of 50 that they have to have not had a period for 2 years before we can say you've gone through the menopause. Now, duration is extremely variable. From the time you start experiencing symptoms till the time it ends, it can be anything from 5 to 10 years. It's very variable in women. Some women at the age of 59 are still having symptoms of the menopause, sweating, hot flushes, mood swings. So that particular area can be extremely variable. But usually going through the period, we usually give a range of passing through the loss of period of 2 years below and loss of period of 1 year above 50. But the symptoms themselves can present and be there for anything from 5 years to 10 years.
And it will be for the rest of the life, is it?
No. So after a particular age, the body adapts and you pass through the symptoms. Usually above the age of 60, we tend not to see it commonly in women and their body has adapted to it.
Okay, thank you.
Now for men, like I said, it is not a natural phenomenon. So it is something that needs to be addressed because what tends to happen at the end of the day is that the men develop heart problems, they develop strokes, develop the hypertension and all those problems kind of coming through them. So it's something that needs to be addressed. And that, if you are developing all these things like diabetes and metabolic syndrome, that tends to persist for life because that is a disease condition. It's different from the menopause. Menopause is a natural phenomenon that occurs. It is not a disease in women.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know if any other person have questions to ask. Aja Sherifat is here as well. If you have any questions for her and then Dr. Tosin, please, you can either raise your hand or continue to type it in the chat button. I missed some questions earlier on due to the connection. Please, if you don't mind, you can resend those as well. And any other contribution, please take the floor. Anyone can contribute. Dr. Tosin, if you have anything to add, please do continue while we wait for other people.
I'll wait for other people. With this, my screen that is being shared now. I think there was an issue people were asking about. There's a big scare about breast cancer and hormone replacement therapy. The media, unfortunately, published some articles about 2014 and before that, where they said that HRT was linked to a higher risk of breast cancer. So that has kind of spoiled a lot of things, made it not clear. But as we know with the media, they always take information and they make it worse than it seems and sounds. They did not interpret the data correctly. Now, what the information came out was that people over the age of 60 had a slightly increased risk. That's why I've put it down at the bold bottom there that young women taking HRT are at no greater risk of breast cancer than the normal population. So the normal population, 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. And if you're on HRT, your risk is still the same as that 1 in 8. It is not increased. And now they have newer forms of HRT made from what we call body identical hormones. So the hormones are exactly the same. The previous HRT that they were using back in the days when the study was done were made from horses' urine. So obviously they had its own problems. So the new ones are made, the estrogen is made as body identical estrogen. The progestogen part is interestingly made from food we eat as Nigerians every day, yam. So that's what the progestogen is made from now. So micronized, we call it micronized progestogen, is made from yam itself. That's where they make it from. So we have these things generally, we eat it generally. So it is just part of what it is. The risk is no more increase in the young person. I generally advise that if anyone is having symptoms below the age of 50 and they have none of the risk factors, if they are suffering and they think that lifestyle or alternative measures have not worked, they should visit their doctor, request for HRT, use the HRT till about 55 and stop. Okay? That would be my recommendation to them from that. And I think we've addressed the issue of, we've talked about a bit more about the lifestyle changes that we need to make. If anybody has any questions about lifestyle, I'm happy to answer the questions.
There's a contribution here that you promised to share a 10-minute exercise that we could do at home. So what is it, please?
Okay, marvelous. All right. Let's see if I can get that up. 2 seconds. I'll copy and paste it. It's on my WhatsApp group. I run a WhatsApp group for a couple of people that I coach on exercise and what's that thing called? Exercise and healthy living. So it's 10 minutes. You might find, depends on, the question is, the person that is asking the question, are you happy doing push-ups? Or you want me to change it? Because I find that for women, I cannot tell women to do push-ups because they find that a bit strenuous. So I have to find ways to change that for them. Where is it? CY.
Please change it.
No worries. Let me see if I can copy that. Just going to find it there. Okay, so this is going to take you 10 minutes to do. Where's the chat group? Chat, more, chat. So please copy this down and keep that. Okay. For anywhere you see push-ups, put air box in there. So if air boxing simply means, sorry, I think I sent the message to Dr. Kayode. Don't worry, I accidentally sent it to only Dr. Kayode. Let's see if I can change that. Everyone, paste. There we go. That's better. So where you see push-ups, please put air box in there. So you just make a fist in front of you and punch the air. You do that for 20 seconds. You see, you do not even need to move from where you are standing. So you punch the air, you do that for 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, you rest for 10 seconds. The exercise is actually even 9 minutes, only 9 minutes. Then high knees. If you are struggling with any of the name of the exercises, Google is your friend. Just type the exercise in Google. It will tell you what to do. It's very straightforward. Air boxing to replace that. Now, burpees, this one has 1, 2, 3. Number 3 there. Burpees, some people find because it's jumping up and down, and there are modified versions of it. Now, just put it there. This is, you are doing 6 exercises for 3 rounds. Is that clear? So each one, you do 1 set of 6 exercises, round 1. Then you do it again, round 2. You do it again, round 3. Everything together comes to 9 minutes. I believe most of us here, if not all of us, if you're on Zoom now, you probably have a smartphone. And if you have a smartphone, if you can just go to, if you are using the Android phone, an Android platform, you go to the Play Store and you type in Tabata timer. No, so Tabata, Tabata, not Tabata, Tabata timer. And this timer, you can just click the button. You set it up to these things. You get yourself to start 20 seconds, rest 20 seconds. You can do that, and you are sorted. You just click play. You listen to the time. You do it when it tells you to do it. You rest when it tells you to rest. And everything is done in 9 minutes. This is just one variation of what I'm giving out there. So right, any questions? If you don't understand the exercise routine, let me know so I can explain it now. So I might have made some. Yes, Tabata timer. That's it. Tabata timer is written above. Mrs. Amosun, it is written above. Tabata timer. Tabata. Tabata timer.
Thank you, Dr. Tosin and Ajia Sherifat. We appreciate your time, your knowledge sharing, and your efforts. Weekend is supposed to be for family, but we really appreciate that you've given that part of your time to share your knowledge with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks to everyone.
All right. Okay. So for people, I think quick summary for the well-being part that Haja Sherifat has mentioned. We've mentioned lifestyle changes. I believe in something called the 4P. I've mentioned it before, the 4-pillar plan. I try and address everybody's, most people's issue that I see from 4 pillars. We've talked about it already. Nutrition, what you are eating. For nutrition, one of the easiest ways, if you are not keen on all these low that, low fat, low this, is do what we call rainbow eating. So see the colors of the rainbow. Can you get your plate to at least once in a day look like that? At least. And I'm not talking about M&M sweets and things like, no. So is there a particular food that is purple on your plate? A vegetable, green. Peppers can come in the yellow and green color. So that's what we mean. Make your food a bit more colorful. We favor a lot of fish over meat, although I do, what do you call it? The WhatsApp link is not.
It's not. I will resend it now.
Okay. So we do a lot of favor a lot of eat more fish than meat. I still like people eating their meat, like, although we tell them to try and cut down, but I really have no 100% issues. My main issue is with the carbohydrate intake. I always want to tackle that first, because a lot of people tell you stop eating meat, but they forget to tell you about the carbohydrate part. So increase your fish intake standard as usual, and see what you can do about cutting down the high number of carbohydrates that you are taking. Then movement. We've mentioned movement already, where people talk about exercise. I use the term movement, like Dr. Kennedy said, he's walking. That is always a blessing. If you can do more walking, it's always a blessing. Then if you can look for, everybody has a busy schedule, look for those pockets of time that you can use to do something that will increase your heart rate. The heart rate has to go up above 100. It just has to, because that way you are exercising the heart muscle, you are getting the blood flowing. And with the blood flowing, it's improving a lot of things in the body. There's a long list of things to go through. Find those pockets of time to have to exercise. Then sleep, like we've mentioned. Ideally, everybody should be getting a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of sleep, ideally. And it has to be, it's not just the quantity, it's also the quality of sleep as well. Unfortunately, in the environment we live in, it's a big struggle because of the demands of work. It's one thing that we all have to, even like I said, I find myself, there are days you look and you see when you do your journaling that, oh, I've not had enough sleep. Then the relaxation issue is the part. But when I say relaxation, it's a big term I use to cover a lot of areas, from your social life, working on things in your environment, and taking time out to look inwards and reflect on how your life is going and be grateful. A lot of time we spend on wondering what is going to happen. I have not achieved that. I have not achieved this. This is happening. Just the stresses of life. But we always have to take that step to step back and be grateful for everything that is happening. I always tell people to try and pick up the habit of journaling, where you just have a book where in your quiet time or your religious time, you cut out 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, to write out something for the day. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for? What do you think will happen today that will make your life happy? And what are the things you can write? Maybe 1 or 2 affirmations. This is what I see myself doing. Those type of things. Something that can help strengthen you and get you ready for the day. Those are all the things I include in it. So thank you very much, guys. That is where I'll stop talking, so I'm not talking too much.
You haven't. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Rainbow eating. Thank you, Dr. Kayode. Contribution. Let's hear from you. He has already summarized his rainbow eating.
Thank you very much.
No, wow. Doctor said it because everything he said is what, I battle, this is not what I should share with people, but it's all about health issue. I take blood pressure medication. So all of this, they tell us. I've even sent a private chat to Dr. Tosin. Please, Dr. Tosin, help me check and see if you can respond. Yes. So this is what it's for our own good, if we can try to, like me, I can never take my car to the office now because that's the only way I can exercise. And I don't pray we have a new lockdown, because lockdown is not good for anybody. For me personally, I don't get to normally exercise, not until when I have something that forces me to do it. So I just see this as an opportunity to work and to work on myself. For the food, thank you, sir. I'm going to try and follow your advice. This is so good for me. Rainbow eating, and we'll do what you have said. You know better, and we thank you for your support and for the education. Thank you so much. May God Almighty bless you, and our sister too. Thank you so much. That is just what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Anyone have anything to add, please? If I can call name, Ajia Muslima, I know you are there.
Yes, I was the one that asked for the exercise from doctor.
Okay.
And Mrs. Amosu, sorry, please, do you have any other thing to add or ask? If you are still there, I think she has gone. Okay, Dr. Tosin, sorry, can we bring down your...
I'm sorry, I just tried to unmute myself now.
Okay, yes. Please, let's hear.
Yeah, actually, I really enjoyed the presentation. I really gained a lot in this place. I will recommend that we should have more of this once in a while, just to help us to improve our well-being. Yeah. Because when we are saying you want to live long, our well-being must be our priority to look after. If we don't look after our well-being, we can't get there. As the doctor has said, I really appreciate this presentation. I really love it. Please, more of it. Thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, ma. Yeah. Maury J, please, do you have anything to add or question to ask? Maury J, are you there? Please unmute yourself. Whether to add or to ask questions, please. Or Tenny, I'm just calling names, so try to get you, to get us together. Make it more interactive session now, so that it's not just Dr. Tosin and Anjia Sherifat or Dr. Kayode that is speaking.
Please, it's a conversation, guys. Just say something. Don't worry, I promise I don't bite. So please just say something.
Then tell me, we have Arnott as well. Mrs. Arnott, do you have something to add?
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I've really gained. Somebody just sent this to me, and I've really gained from this session. And I would like to be added to your WhatsApp group. I've sent a private message on the chat to the group.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
Yes, I would really love that. Thank you very much. The contribution has been really helpful, and even some questions that people were asking, they were really pertaining to people I know. For myself, it's been really helpful. Thank you so much to the organizers and the contributors.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. We have Mrs. Arnott. Please, do you have something to add? Yeah. Then we have iPhone. Sorry, there's no names. So I just have to call by your display name. iPhone and Galaxy J6 Plus. Let's hear from you. Your questions or contributions, please. Let me see other people that we have. I don't want to miss out anyone. I don't want to be disrespectful. Apologies if I have been so far. I think that's Maury J. We have Maury J as well. We have iPhone. Do you have any questions or contributions? Okay.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Maury J.
Yeah, although I didn't start from the beginning. I started around maybe to 4, but I really gained a lot. Thank you so much for all the information and all the people that actually contributed. Thanks to Dr. Taiwo as well. I've taken all the exercises on board. Although I usually, when I take my son to school, there's this ew around my area, so I could feel the way my heart is pumping. So I think yeah, yes, I am. Thank you so much. And I've written all of that ones that I talked about. I'll put them down. Thanks so much.
All right, you are welcome. Galaxy J6
and I'll be going the, what's it called?
Oh, sorry, I talk over you, Maury J. I'm so sorry. Continue, ma. Please, ma, continue your chat, ma.
Yeah, I'm fine. That's what I want to talk about. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
Oh, you are welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you too for coming, ma. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks so much. Yeah. Bye.
Galaxy J6.
Thank you very much. No question. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you very, very much.
We appreciate
absolutely
that.
welcome.
Thank you too, ma. Okay, Dr. Tosin, if you don't
Yes.
mind, maybe you can share your slides later, then I can put it up on the website for
Yes.
people to download. And Ajia Sherifat, if you wouldn't mind, so they can download it later. Then now we put up a poll. Please try as much as possible to respond so we can know what next we can plan. Can we all see the poll?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, I have. Let me briefly explain what this is all about regarding the research classes. If you are considering doing a PhD based on the outcome of the GSEP conference we had last month, some people are interested in doing a PhD or research study. And if you belong to this group, or if you have someone who would like to pursue a research degree, please do let us know your expression of interest so we can start to organize something for everyone out there to benefit from, either like proposal writing, literature review writing, research methodology classes, philosophy, or anything that has to do about research degree and PhD. So we are here to support one another. So it can be a start, and you don't know where the destination might take you. So we encourage as much as everyone to pursue a research degree. Like Dr. Tosin, we call him a doctor because he has done a research degree, a PhD in nursing, so in medical area. Am I right, Dr. Tosin? That's why we're calling you Dr. Tosin.
Just medicine. I didn't go to PhD. I did medicine and an advanced degree in surgery, but that's it.
So kind of something like that. And
yes, we did evolve research, yes.
Yeah, like things like that. For example, there's something around this own. Dr. Kayode, so I wanted him to mention about his own area of research so I can get the flavor of what. So can you please talk to everyone about your research briefly so that they can get a flavor of what we mean by research classes?
Yeah, I'm a social scientist. I mean, I specialize in IT adoption, health informatics. So we study we study the reason why people are not willing to use technology. You understand? So it can be all kinds of technology, artificial intelligence, electronic medical records, all kinds of technology. That's one of the things we do. So anything has to do, we try to bridge provide a solid marriage between people and technology. So we use all kinds of methodology, quantitative methods, qualitative methods. We care about people because we realize that as a computer scientist, it's not just about you are not talking to yourself. The end goal is people. You have to satisfy people. Your clients, they are the king. You start from them and it ends with them. So that is why we conduct research on people. And so that's why I prefer to refer to myself as a social scientist. So currently, I lecture at Farnborough College of Technology. I teach degree students, master students, and apprenticeships. For people who want to go into the industry, we have students they send from employers to us, and we get them trained on IT hardware, networking, and computer programming. So anybody who wants to do research on computer science, on quantitative study, qualitative study, design science research, systematic literature review, how to use SPSS, smart PLS, all kinds of analytics software, then they are free to contact us. We'll be willing to train them. That's all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kayode. Just to add a little bit to that, and from my own side, my PhD focus on strategy and entrepreneurship within the higher education setting. And that's why I always refer to myself as IS, entrepreneurship expert, academic scholar, author, strategist, as well as an educator. My research mainly has to do with how to make universities, not only in the UK, but across the world, to be more entrepreneurial. As you might have been aware, we invested previously, they are primarily driven by teaching and research, but due to a lot of changes in the economy and in the society at large, how can they be more, entrepreneurial oriented? So they have to now merge their teaching and research, which is the main traditional roles of higher education institutions, with becoming more entrepreneurial. So they have to look for alternative ways of source for funding, apart from relying on government for research grants or teaching funding, kind of things like that. So same thing, similarly, it applies to the individuals. How can we be more entrepreneurial as as an individual or as an organization? Not just a business enterprise. It's not just to do business, but to be more entrepreneurial, you have to have the behavior, the mindset, and every other thing around it as well. So that movement towards becoming more entrepreneurial is where my research, interest lies. However, as a qualitative researcher, I can also, teach mismentored, which is the combination of qualitative and quantitative approach. So what we are planning to do now, for anyone who is interested to pursue a research degree, we have decided to come together to bring our expertise together to help the community. So if you are planning to do a PhD, or if you know any other individual out there who would like to do a PhD or a research degree, please try to tell them to come along, and very soon we launch the flyer. We will make the announcement more, broadcast it widely to everyone out there. So just for us, now that we are presently available here, you can take the message home to your friends, to your family, to colleagues, that this opportunity is coming up. And that's why we have this poll to know, to have like the view, to share the view with you, and also to know how many people will express their interest or willingness to take part in these classes. And that's it for now. I really appreciate your attendance. I appreciate you all for coming. And that's Dr. Tosin connection on the chat box. You have Facebook account. His Facebook account, you can see it there. You can follow him. You can follow him on Instagram as well. And for video, I will put it on. Actually, we are live on YouTube right now. Then the part one of it, I don't know where Dr. Tosin, I know you and Dr. Kayo, they are very good with all this kind of technology and IT stuff. Maybe I've missed the first part of it. Please, you will help us to check whether we have the complete video. Otherwise, Dr. Kayode, I've added you as a co-host as well. So if we don't have the first part of the video, Dr. Kayode will help us to do that later on. So you can find the video on YouTube by the title Andropause, Menopause, and Wellbeing, or just Global Certification Platform. I will add that one as well as other keywords to search for. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I appreciate your attendance. I really appreciate your contributions, your comments, your questions, and great thanks to our speakers. This has been so helpful, very insightful indeed. Thanks very much. There's nothing that we can give you now that can compensate you, but we pray that Almighty God will compensate you more abundantly. Thanks so much. Thanks. I really appreciate you all for coming. And bye for now. We will have another one next month by the grace of God. So watch out soon for that. Now let us come together and take a screenshot of the photo. Can everyone, if you would like to show your face, please. Dr. Tosin, you want to do that from your side? I've not been able to capture a good one for everyone. Please.
Let me see. How did it gallery view?
Aja Sherifat, do you want to come on board? Dr. Kayode, can we see your face? Mrs. Amosu, please. Mrs. Tenny, can we all show our faces to, and Mr. Akim, if you would like, please show your face if you would like. Thank you. Thank you, ma.
Okay.
Dr. Tosin, help us do that.
I'm about to take it. So everybody smile, look into the camera. Dr. Kayode, can you move your face forward? Your screen is a bit blurred.
It's relaxing on the. Thank you, ma'am. Thank Thank you for joining us, ma.
Okay, so in 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
There we go. All taken.
Oh, thank you very much. You can help us share that on the Gseposium platform so I can use it for the thumbnail for the YouTube.
In the next couple of seconds. Let's
Yeah,
see.
thank you so much. Let me say, I know mine is not going to. Yeah, that's it. Okay, the poll results. Yeah, I guess. Mrs. Amosu, I will now. Okay, let's take another one again. We just see your face. Okay, we'll take another one.
I've captured her face before she puts it off. Young man there.
Yeah, help us do another one, please.
Yeah, so ready on
Auntie
1.
Sherifat. We have Mrs. Hakim as well. Mori J, Mrs. Tenny, we are still waiting for you if you want to show your face, ma.
There we go. Taken.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for the wonderful package.
Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I appreciate you all for coming as well. It would have been possible. Thank you all.